Welcome back to the Boss's Office, episode 6, a smaller piece of a bigger pie, building a dynamic team with Noah von Borstel. Everyone wants to build a team until it's time to manage personalities, fix mistakes, and put your own ego aside. This week on the Boss's Office, we sit down with one of Central Oregon's top real estate leaders, Noah von Borstel from Team Junipine. We're talking about building teams, leadership, accountability, culture, hiring the right people, and why taking a smaller piece of a much bigger pie usually wins. And yes, we talk about some beer league softball, hunting, and what happens when your team absolutely blows a deal. Well, let's get into it. Welcome back to the Boss's Office because it's lonely at the top. I'm your host, Randy Vance, CEO and founder of Boss Mortgage. Today's episode is one I've been excited about for a while because we've been talking about something every entrepreneur eventually runs into. At some point, you hit a ceiling. You realize you can only personally answer so many calls, you can only personally sell so many homes, you can only personally close so many deals, and you can only personally carry the business for so long. And eventually you face the question, do I stay a top producer forever, or do I build something bigger than myself? That transition might sound exciting, but it can be messy. Because building a team means giving up control, trusting people, hiring right, firing wrong, creating culture, dealing with conflict, fixing mistakes, and learning that leadership is way different than production. Today's guest knows that world extremely well. Noah von Borstel is one of the top realtors in Central Oregon and the leader of Team Junipine. Noah and I have known each other for over a decade. We've worked together for years, played beer league softball together, and I watched him grow from a strong individual producer into someone building a recognizable team and a brand in his community. He's also an avid outdoorsman, hunter, family guy, and somebody who genuinely cares about relationships and reputation. So today we're diving into building a team, selecting people that fit the vision, leadership mistakes, accountability, culture, scaling without losing your identity, and whether building a team is actually worth it. And joining me again as co-host, the steady hand himself, Rocky Dunn. All right, let's get after it.
Before we jump in, today's episode is brought to you by Boss Mortgage. At Boss Mortgage, we believe home financing should feel strategic, not transactional. Whether you're buying your first home, building wealth through real estate, refinancing, or exploring innovative products like our Game Changer Mortgage, our team is built to help clients win long-term. We're currently licensed in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, California, Arizona, Montana, and Colorado. If you want to learn more, visit bossmortgage.com. Boss Mortgage. Own your home like a boss.
Like a boss.
NMLS number 2547821.
All right. So give us a little bit of background on you, Noah. Welcome to the podcast. Give us a little background on you and Team Junipine.
So I started in the business almost 20 years ago, a little more than, 1st of 2006, right before the Great Recession. My business really had just started getting up to speed when everything kind of crashed at that time, and became a short sale expert, and did that for 5 years and actually made a great living doing that, and then watched everything transition around 2012, 2013, back to, normal operating procedures. And as my business transitioned and became really strong at that time, I started working with Zillow a lot. They cold called me and offered leads at a really low cost, and I was trying anything to get extra business and took on the Zillow leads, and that took my business from really good, kind of 15 million in production a year, 10 to 15 million in production a year, to 20 to 25 million dollars in production. And my first year of really fully utilizing Zillow, I went from doing 40 transactions a year on my own, and I did 83 transactions 1 year on my own, which is a bad idea, and nobody should do that.
Is that the point when you realized you couldn't do it yourself anymore?
Yeah. When it doubled my business, and that's when I realized I needed to bring somebody else on. I wasn't really looking, and what I found is I didn't go out looking for somebody or asking for somebody to work with me. Mm-hmm. Matt Gilman had just gotten in the business and was working with another realtor in town on a team. and they had a pretty interesting arrangement. Lots of buyer's agents get taken advantage of, even when they're top producers, and usually at such a level that they leave pretty quickly after they become a top producer because they're getting almost none of their money that they produce, and sometimes they're even creating their own leads and still giving half or greater of the money away that they should have earned on that to somebody that's not creating that business. And Matt was in that stage, and he saw how much business I was doing, and he came to me on his own and said, "Hey, are you looking for somebody to work on your team?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually I am, and I would like to work with somebody that wants to work with me." So we talked, had lots of conversations, and I think that was 2015, I think, is when Matt came to work with me. And so had that conversation. He came to work with me, took all the Zillow leads. I passed them off to him entirely at first. And that still grew at such a level, the Zillow leads in my business, that for 3 years, Matt was taking all the Zillow leads. And then we brought another person on in 2018. And that was not very successful. That person, it didn't go real well. But then we brought on Wyatt that works with us now in 2019, just before, I think it was actually the beginning of 2020. And it continued to scale. And then from there, we brought on Lisa Hart here a year ago. And Zia Estrella joined the team a year ago. So right now, there are 5 of us on the team. There's
so this all goes
3
back,
full-time buyer's agents.
right? So this all goes back from you were doing pretty good on your own, and you sort of unlocked a secret weapon at the time of Zillow leads, which more than doubled your production, it sounded like. And because that production went up, you just really by necessity had to add someone else to the team.
Yeah, didn't really have a choice. I wasn't really looking to build a team, and business just got to a level that I didn't have a choice, or I was going to be letting leads go.
I feel like I'm going through some of the same growing pains. You add someone on, and it gives you more bandwidth to be able to do more, and then you get more, and then you're like, well, now I've maxed that person out, and now we need another person. So I take it you hadn't always imagined yourself as building a team or being a leader, but it was almost out of necessity that happened.
Yeah, and there was one team that was put together, the Hart team, back early in my career. It was myself, Lisa Hart, and Caroline Irvin, and we worked together for a while, but that dissolved, and that wasn't really an intention of having my own team. At the time, it was more having a group of people that could help out. And then, so this was an entirely different thing where it was a team that I developed through the production that was coming online.
Did you ever have a moment where you're like, I should have just stayed solo?
All the time, every day. I think that a lot. And I'm not a born manager. I still have challenges personally about being the manager I need to be. So I recognize that, but I also realize that I know the business really well, and my shortcomings as a person that doesn't make me the best manager. I can work on those things, and we're better together, and we need the coverage. If I ever want to get away, do some of the things I like to do with my family, hunting, whatever else, I need to have people working with me that can help when I'm out, and I help when they're out, and it allows us to have more of a life.
So you mentioned in the process that you had one hire that didn't work out, and without obviously using any names, what happened there?
That person did not like to answer the phone, and was, I would say, a Gen Z person that would like to text with people but not pick up the phone, which is kind of a thing that goes on in Gen Z, and that doesn't work with Zillow. His answer rate, I think, was 8% when he was asked to no longer be on the team. And the answer rate on Zillow, if it's not at least 35%, you're really not doing a very good job, and it should be 50 to 60%. And we worked on it for a while, and it never got better. And attention to detail was lacking too, which
Did that person get out of the business?
yeah, that person's not in real estate anymore.
Sounds like it did.
So you've been doing this for a while. You mentioned that you've had thoughts about maybe you should have stayed solo, and I mean that might have been facetious. But how much of leadership do you just feel like you're doing adult babysitting?
It's a lot of it, but it's more. I have a pretty high standard for the quality of work that I do and my follow through. And I'm not perfect and I make a lot of mistakes, but I find that my standard's a lot higher than most. And so when I delegate work, a lot of times I feel like I should have just done the work myself because the quality isn't quite where I'd like it to be. That's a lot of it. And I probably need to get better at realizing that not everything has to be 100% perfect. People are going to make mistakes. So that's a lot of it, is when I feel like my name's on it also, and then mistakes happen that are mortifying to me. That's when I start wondering about wanting to be in partnership. But again, I mean, I make mistakes, and as long as the people involved are getting better and fix their mistakes, it's not a big deal, and I need to just learn to chill about that a little bit.
It feels a lot like what I go through, right? Because I know I can do a great job, right? I built the thing. I know exactly what the answer is going to be if a client has an issue and they have a question. I know how to handle those things. That letting go process and trusting the team has been one heck of a learning curve for me, especially as my team has grown and now we're up to 4 and we're seriously considering adding another person to the team because now we've maxed out where the capability of what 4 people can handle. And so that letting go process, that's a very human feeling, right? That need to control and make sure that things get done right. But you said something at the start of it was, if you ever want to have any quality of life and do things that you want to do in your personal life or have family or take time off, you got to trust that your team's at least not going to, totally shit the bed while you're away, right? Yeah. I'm getting ready to go on my first vacation in 9 years, in just a few weeks, and I'm not taking my phone. I haven't been without.
Which I still think is crazy.
It is absolutely nuts, but I'm not taking my phone. I'm going to go completely unplug, and I just got to have faith that I have led my team in such a way that when I get back into service, that that I'll still have a company and a team to come back to. And if not, that's just that's the way the cookie crumbles. It was probably going to fall apart to begin with.
I've never fully unplugged in 20 and a half years in real estate. I went to the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge for a caribou hunting trip and flew out 150 miles into the wildlife sanctuary there and took a sat phone with me just in case. And I did business on a sat phone out there.
Hunting caribou.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
I didn't want to, but a deal blew up at the end where some old people were moving out of a house and they didn't clean up a darn thing, and it closed, and we had to figure out it was a giant disaster. And poor Matt Gilman was a couple years into working with me, and he got to deal with all of it. I feel for him on that one at the time. So,
how do you guys define your culture? Have you defined your culture on your team?
So define the culture. I mean, I wouldn't say that we have sat down and written a cultural document, but what I'd say is, in general, it's availability, advanced knowledge based on lots of closed transactions, accountability, and absolutely treating every deal as though it's our own deal, meaning that if we make a mistake, it's our mistake. We fix it.
Right.
We're never going to leave the mistake on somebody else. It doesn't matter what the mistake is. If we make the mistake, it's on us. We pay for it. We fix it. We do all the work. And extreme accountability is probably extreme accountability with a knowledge base that's well beyond most of our peers, And our marketing is an entire cut above too. I could get into that, but no need. It's really about accountability, knowledge, and trying to do everything we can to do the very best we can.
So both you guys, this is kind of an interesting to have both you guys here. Both of you represent top producers in your jobs, in your guys' industries. So, but like, how do you have that kind of top producing mentality, and then manage people and set expectations, hold them accountable without kind of crushing their spirit, because you're demanding what you do yourself, right? You want them to live up to what you guys are doing, and that's really hard. And probably if they could, they would be top producers. So how do you handle that?
Some people are never going to want to produce at the same level, but if they have the ability to do a really good job with everything that's presented to them and get better as they work in the industry, it's okay if they aren't producing at a top producer level. So there's room for all kinds. I'd say though, on our team right now, almost everybody has the mentality of wanting to be a top producer. And so the one person that isn't working with us didn't have that mentality at all, and I don't think they were a fit. And I do think to work on Team Junipine, you need to have the ambition of one day being a top producer and being willing to do the things that will make you a top producer. If you just want to do a few deals on the side, probably shouldn't work with us. So I don't know that I have the ability to work in a team with somebody that doesn't have ambition to really get out there and grind the deals.
So
because they will hear it from me.
Yeah. So most of your team then, therefore, is probably similar in personality. Then that's what you're looking for. Is that the same for you then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we come in ready to RTFS every single day, and it's like you got to have that. You got to have that. It's not even work ethic. It's just you got to have that bug. You got to have that ambition. And I think just backtracking a moment when we talk about culture, right? Is you're kind of defining the culture in a roundabout way, and that's kind of the culture of my team. Is that I have people who work for me that they own it. They come in, they work hard, they know that I'm going to be demanding, but they're also going to be rewarded, not just financially, but they're going to be able to change their lives and do the things that they want to do that maybe they wouldn't have been able to do on their own and just needed a jump start. And so that's, that in and of itself is that culture of just come in and kicking ass and taking names. And I met the people on your team, and every single one of them is incredibly hardworking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they all have ambition Lisa is a top producer and has been a top producer, has been one of the top producers in the region at different times. And Matt is a top producer. Wyatt is in our office, top producer within Windermere. You start looking at him out of 1,500 agents in the area, I think he's in the top 250. So, and Zia is coming along really well. She's new in the business, but all of a sudden she's really cranking, and she's our only bilingual person on the team. So,
in kind of a tough market too. It sounds like you got a whole team of heavy hitters. So let's talk about when one of these all-stars that you have on your team, when they drop the ball, right? They fumble or they throw it over the first baseman's head, and I'm using sports references, but they've dropped the ball, they've messed up. How do you handle that mistake?
Most of the time, they're going to get to spend the time fixing it themselves, and if there's a financial part that was, an oversight on their side, they're going to partake in the financial part of fixing it, as will I, but they get to fix their mistakes. Yeah. And
so how do you coach through those mistakes without instilling fear?
I don't let anybody know that there's a problem with them making mistakes besides the fact that they must learn from it and fix the mistakes. So I don't tell people over and over again, bring it up as an issue that, hey, how did this happen? It's not an ongoing conversation. It's just, we have to fix it. We've got to pay for it, and we've got to learn from it and not do it again.
Remind you of clarity and brevity from a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good way to put that. So it can be, in this job, I think it's easy to underestimate how much stress that leaders are under. And if you've never been in that position, it's easy to not know. Like how would you know if you haven't sat in that position? And it probably doesn't look like you guys are carrying that weight for your team as much as you are. But do you ever feel when with your team that it's a little lonely? That it's all you. The pressure's on you. You have to perform, or is it just still a team environment and you feel good about it?
I felt that way for a long time, especially when I had to pay up front for Zillow leads, which has changed a little bit in recent history. I'm not necessarily loving what Zillow has done in their change, but we used to have to pay up front $20,000 a month to get Zillow leads. And
that's a big bill.
Yeah.
And
that is not chump change.
My monthly expense for the team was about $30,000 a month. And so there was a time that, especially in the winter, if a couple guys were kind of taking it easy, not producing as well as they should, maybe doing some projects on their own properties or whatever else instead of out hustling, yeah, there were times that I'm like, okay, I'm the one paying this bill out of my pocket, and you guys aren't producing at a level that we can actually cover it through the rest of the team. And had to have a lot of conversations with people that don't really enjoy paying for the overall cost of the team out of my production for months at a time. And
they're off, they get to go hunting, and they're okay with that.
Yeah. And if they make a little less, they're like, oh, I made 10 grand less this year, but they don't see the profit and loss side of it where, yeah, you made 10 less, you made 10 less, you made 20 less. I didn't make money this year on the team, and the only money I made was the production I had myself.
Right.
That was has happened many times.
It's a lot of pressure.
And it was not fun at all. So, and yeah, there is really nobody to talk to or vent to about it. And so, yeah, there were times it felt a little bit lonely having to deal with the financial stress of it and just kind of eating it. I mean, a lot of times as alpha type figures that you're out trying to grind it all day, you better be used to that.
Yeah. All right. So kind of pivoting with this whole idea of taking a smaller piece of a larger pie, right? There's only so much money to be made in any transaction, right? Whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgage, whether you're selling widgets, there's only so much pie to go around. So I'm guessing that when you set up a team, and we don't need to talk about split percentages, but I'm guessing that you're getting a split of what they have and they're getting a split of what you have, or at least they're getting, like you said, marketing costs or lead costs covered.
They're not getting a split of anything I do, but they are getting leads that are not available unless I brought
Right.
those leads to them, especially when I was paying for leads, and even now as Zillow's transitioned to a different format, the leads that are coming to them in large part are not available to them without working with me. And so that I get a percentage of that, but there's also a cap, and I don't take a giant amount of money every year. There's a lot of buyers, agents that work on teams that they're in a 50-50 percentage. What they bring in, they get 50 and the house takes 50, and that's just how it is. I try to make it so the caps are really, really generous so that I get a certain amount that allows me to cover my expenses with them being on team and make a little profit. I kind of feel like I need to make $25,000 per team member that I'm paying for it to be worthwhile for me. So, but once I hit that number, I don't ask them to contribute anymore, really. And so I try to make it so that, yeah, you're working with me, I'm taking a cut, but the cut I'm taking caps out and you get to keep the rest. And I want them to build their own business long-term, and our relationship financially, the split agreement, that's all negotiable. I'm not going to hold them to a a single idea of what it should be without some flexibility. And that it's been with every person I work with over time that's evolved as production responsibilities and everything have changed.
I think I can boil that all down to 3 words: firm but fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you do come across as someone who's firm. If I were to come work for you, right, I can already tell you, right, Noah's going to have high expectations. I better show up with an attitude ready to work. But also at the same time, knowing that there are other teams out there, right, in high performing teams where they're not making bubkiss. I mean, it sounds like while you are firm, you're also a fair boss. How do you find that balance between needing to be firm but fair?
I don't always find the best balance with that. With my children, with my friends, with my coworkers, I work on it all the time to try to be as gentle as I can. I'm not the most gentle person. Not the most tactful person. Very direct, very honest, and very fair. And people know that when they come to work with me. And usually the people that have come to work with me have observed me and then asked me to, everybody that's working with me is asked to come work with me. I have not sought anyone out. And so I like that because they know what they're getting into. And if I...
That says something about your leadership.
Yeah,
too.
that's just how I'm going to be. I don't have another mode at this point in my life, and I'm going to be fair. I want them to do well, and I want them to build and get better and stronger, and someday be so strong that they don't even need my leads. I don't need them working for me forever as a buyer's agent. I'd like them to get enough of their own clientele that maybe we work together on the team, but we have somebody on the team right now, Matt Gilman. He's keeping all of his own business, and he started as my buyer's agent. He works with me as an equal, and his business is his business. I don't take any cut from him, and I would have that. I would wish that for everybody that works with me. I want them to get to the point that their business is just as strong as mine. There's no scarcity in real estate. I can do as much as I want, and they can do as much as they want. And I'd like to see them become independently producing without needing my leads at some point too.
That just answered what my next question was going to be, which was, how rewarding is it to watch people succeed under your leadership?
I want to make everybody that works with me in real estate, as a buyer, as a seller, as an agent that works with me, as a lender that works with me, the contractors that I work with all the time. I have an insane amount of contractors that are super trustworthy, very timely, and just get out and get things accomplished. I want everybody that works with me to get rich, period. That's just how it's all win-win. Doesn't need to be zero sum. I should make money. They should make money. And it makes me proud when I see somebody like, Matt has come from a situation where when he first came to work with me, it probably wasn't where he wanted to be financially too. He's in a great place to be independently wealthy in a very short amount of time.
Can I come work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. So, yeah.
What's one thing that nobody told you about being a leader? What it takes to be a leader?
Probably making sure that every time you respond to an issue that you don't see it as a small battle or a war that's happening in front of you, that you need to just take in the issue, calmly resolve it with the other person there without any level of excitement or tension. As you do that, I have great solutions and can work through with anyone, but sometimes I present it in a way that sounds like I'm fighting with them. And I need to always be better about that at every point in my life. It's always been an issue for me. And someday maybe I will find a way past that.
Who are you, man? I've known you for a long time. And I will say this about Noah is that, even when I first met him, he has very strong opinions. Right. And if you let him, he'll bulldoze you with his opinions. But really what he wants is for you to have an opinion too. And I got to tell you, man, over the last decade, you have softened up so much. Maybe we'll cut this part out. Maybe we won't. But I'm going to tell the whole world, you are a big softie. You may sound hard, but you have softened up, and it's been a pleasure getting to watch you over the last decade. And the fact that you've been able to keep your team for so long, having that loyalty, that speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if people haven't told you, I mean, average in real estate is, 2 years max. I wouldn't even say that's an average, for someone to stay on your team because they want to go off and do it. But, you've got people who've been on your team for
especially buyer's agents.
Yeah.
I mean,
11 years and 7 years. And then you've got another top producer who you started with, who came back to work with you. I think that says a lot about you. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's do some rapid fire, quick question, quick answers. Okay. What's the best hunting trip you've ever been on?
Anwar, going caribou hunting. That was
Bringing your sat phone?
Yep. And even with the sat phone. But we flew into Fairbanks, drove a U-Haul van with 2 of us in the front and 2 people in the back in lawn chairs, super safe, up the Dalton Highway to Coldfoot, Alaska, and then flew on float planes out to a lake, landed there. We're left just to do our own thing with no guides, and got 8 caribou between the 4 of us, packed them all back, put them in game bags,
In the U-Haul?
Threw them in the float plane that flew it back. Then we put it in the U-Haul and then drove it back to a Holiday Inn Express in Fairbanks, Alaska, and butchered 8 caribou in what looked like a Dexter murder room.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
next thing. What's your favorite place in Central Oregon?
Terrebonne.
All right. What's one quality every successful realtor needs?
Attention to detail.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve in business?
A lack of responsiveness.
And what is more stressful, multiple offer situations or raising kids?
Raising kids.
Okay, Rocky's got some fun
I want
questions.
to do a couple that are a little more make you think a little harder. So,
Okay.
Who would survive longer in the woods, you or Randy?
That is the silliest question I've ever
That is
heard.
the
I don't even need to
dumbest
answer
question.
it.
If anybody's watching this on YouTube, it's
Anyway,
clear.
I love it. But Randy, I think, would not make it through a day. I think I can go longer.
Would you make it a day?
Gosh, I don't know, man. I was a Boy Scout. There's some things I can do. I can make a fire with some sticks and some shrubs. I can build a lean-to. I can build an igloo. There's some things I can do. I have
Maybe a day.
Still, even though I lost some weight, I still have some fat reserves, so I might not starve to death. But I'm definitely slow, and I would be easy prey for a predator. So yeah, I think you're right. And Noah, if we played the game show Survivor, I'm tapping out first for sure.
Or Alone, where
Yeah.
they drop you off out there.
Exactly. If Team Junipine had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Probably. For some reason, "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" was the first thing that came to my mind.
Nice.
Fire away.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Well, listen, I think the biggest takeaway from this today, building a team isn't about making your life easier, at least not at first. In the beginning, it's harder, more stress, more responsibility, more accountability. But eventually, if you build the right culture, hire the right people, and put ego aside, you create something that's bigger than just yourself. And that's absolutely what you've done here, Noah. Appreciate you coming on. Really do.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Boss Office. If you got value from today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share the episode, and leave us a review. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts are available. And remember, at The Boss's Office, it's lonely at the top.